Welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm David Vogel, Judge Executive. Happy to have you here today for the 16th day of May, 2023. If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Carol Long, please call the roll.
All right. Brent Likens.
Here.
Wayne Tice.
Here.
Kevin Woosley.
Here.
Kevin Jeffries.
Here.
Chris Hounds.
Here.
Stephanie Hawkins.
Here.
Bob Dye.
Present.
Michael Luxton. Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved. Second.
I'm going to add, after any initial comment and before the bid opening, I'm going to add the special award we're going to make today.
Where was that?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Now, Tara can read the minutes from our last meeting, please.
All right. On May 2nd, the Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2:06 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney Barry Baxter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Likens, Tice, Woosley, Jeffries, Hounds, Hawkins, Dye, and Logston. Motion made by Magistrate Jeffries and seconded by Magistrate Dye to approve the agenda with the addition of Resolution OLDA Infrastructure. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Tice to approve the minutes of April 18th, 2023, with the addition of motion seconded by Magistrate Jeffries to accept KYTC's Flex Funds on page 485 with the correction of motion on Udell Gardens grant to reflect 8-1 vote on page 485. Motion carried unanimously. During public comment, Rebecca Zocklin, Solid Waste Recycling and Grants Coordinator, announced the upcoming Pick in the Parks event to be held at Wendell Moore Park on May 13th. Judge Vogel welcomed Daryl Rhodes as the new Emergency Management Director, announced that the property for the new Animal Control Building has been awarded to Oldham County by Kentucky Department of Corrections. Rebecca Zocklin, Solid Waste Recycling and Grants Coordinator, presented the 2022 Solid Waste Recycling Annual Report. Motion was made by Magistrate Jeffries and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the payment of the payables as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the items for surplus as presented. Motion carried unanimously. Jim Urban, Director of Planning and Development, presented for a first reading ordinance KOC 23-920-343, repealing and replacing certain sections of the existing Oldham County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance. The second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 6, 2023. Judge Vogel presented the first reading of the county's fiscal year 23-24 budget as submitted. The second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 6th of 23. Motion made by Magistrate Jeffries and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to adopt Resolution 01-05-02-23, authorizing Oldham County to serve as a conduit for reimbursement for transportation costs of parochial school students. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Judge Vogel and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to adopt Resolution 02-05-02-23, granting approval to dissolve OCEA, a special district. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to adopt Resolution 03-05-02-23, authorizing Oldham County Fiscal Court to confirm intentions to invest in the infrastructure initiative for phases 1 and 2 of the overall utility master plan as submitted. Discussion followed. Motion made by Magistrate Hawkins and seconded by Magistrate Dye to amend the resolution in paragraph 3 to reflect $17,737,149.60 Original motion with amendment carried 8-1. Magistrate Logston voted no. Motion made by Magistrate Helms and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to hire Jessica Beverly as telecommunicator 2 at the rate of $28.24 an hour, effective May 8th. Motion carried unanimously. Tina Schaaf, Director of Human Resources, announced the resignation of Brian Clark, effective April 19th of 23. Motion was made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Jeffries to appoint Becky Wu to the Assessment and Appeals Board with a term to expire on June 1st of 27. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Judge Vogel and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to appoint Billy Delker to the Assessment and Appeals Board with a term to expire 6/1/27. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Judge Vogel and seconded by Magistrate Dye to appoint Stephen Edwards to the OLDA Board with a term to expire of May 31st, 27. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously and the meeting adjourned at 3:44 p.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from May 2nd. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Time now for public comment. That's the time during the meeting when anyone who would like to address the fiscal court is able to do so. We generally allow up to 4 minutes to speak. Becky Zockline.
Thank you, Judge. I just want to take this opportunity to thank all the folks who turned out for our Pick the Parks event last Saturday. We were amazed to have 30 people show up. Fortunately, one large group was the Oldham County High School dance team who had just finished their roadside litter pickup. So they came and did an extra pickup for the parking lot just below the recycling center. Other groups, there was just a random family that came. They saw it on social media. And somebody representing the Brownsboro Alliance came. And then a large cohort from the Democratic Women of Oldham County showed up. So we had 30 people, 30 bags, and a clean parking lot. So we're happy.
All right, thank you. We appreciate those volunteers who came out to pick the park. All right. Anyone else who would like to address fiscal?
Good afternoon, Judge, Magistrates. Amy Alvey, Oldham County Clerk. I just wanted to give everyone a brief update on our polling locations. Again, there are 9 polling locations that are available that anyone can go to any of those 9 locations. Polls will close at 6 p.m. They are Oldham County High School, South Oldham Middle, North Oldham High, East Oldham Middle, Westport Life Center, Crestwood Baptist Church, LaGrange Baptist Church, Pee Wee Valley, Fire Station 1, and the Sojourn Church on Highway 42. We had early voting last week. That was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We had 1,919 voters turn out for that. As of about 1:30 today, we've had 4,165 voters at those 9 locations. So we are right at almost 11%, which is good because I think they were hoping to get around 15%, is what our Secretary of State was hoping to get turnout for this election. So again, just remind anyone that you know that polls are open till 6 o'clock. And then once they're closed, then graciously Sheriff Wakefield has been a huge help, as well as the road department and my staff making this successful. So just let everybody know. You got 4 more hours.
All right, thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the fiscal court?
Yeah, I'm going.
Right.
I'm going to come down here.
Okay.
May stick me down here twice. So, Barry Baxter, the Oldham County Attorney. Maybe 60 days ago, you all directed me to try to collect some money relative to some overpayments that people received for some FEMA grants. I am pleased to report that one of those individuals, Crone, has been paid in full, and my understanding is the county received the money. And we are in negotiations with the other family. I believe that they have acknowledged that they owe the money, but they are trying to leverage maybe getting some contribution from some other folks, and we are giving them until the end of the month to pay, or else we're going to file suit. So hopefully we'll have that in by the end of the month as well. So I want
All right. Thank you, Barry. Good job. Anyone else?
Pam Isaac, Crestwood, Kentucky.
Could you give us a little more specific address than that?
What'd you say?
A more specific address than Crestwood, Kentucky?
That's what everybody else does.
Uh,
Lakewood Valley. You want my home address?
well, it goes.
I don't
It
think
goes
so.
in the record, please.
I don't think so.
I think it does, but he's not going to put it in the record. It goes in the minutes of the fiscal court is where it goes.
Well, I
Doesn't go in the
decline.
newspaper.
So what's that do? I decline that. What next?
Okay. Well, you decline. You can start off. You're starting off on the wrong foot here, but go ahead.
That's the way it always rolls with me.
Well, we've seen you before. I know that.
Okay. First thing I have is I'm sure so many people have been affected by the traffic and the wrecks and the deaths and on 71, and I looked up just to see what was out there available. There's a Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and it's got a nice web page and tons of things for truckers and safety and drugs and et cetera, et cetera. So my suggestion would be to create a task force with police, citizens, community leaders. Go to D.C., see what these people are doing. Other people are doing across the U.S. I'm sure we're not the only ones experiencing this. I know a while back there was some deregulation for truckers, and I don't know if that gave them permission to go from 60 to 120. But they're definitely flying out there, and they're definitely causing problems. So I really think you guys should, take advantage of this because it's already created. I was going to talk about my subdivision, which is in Lakewood Valley. I sent a couple messages to Jim Urban, and he said wait because he's at the voter thing today. So there's three things I'm going to say about Lakewood Valley and maybe other subdivisions or where people aren't taking care of their property. It seems in my subdivision that the properties get taken care of by the people being evicted, the people being foreclosed on, or the property being sold. And then somebody comes in and makes all the 100,000 repairs, cleans up all the garbage. There's a large number, there's 300 homes in that subdivision, and there's a lot of rental. But there's a lot of people who do not even have a trash can. So, they just stack it up. And I talked to Adam, and he said, well, he can only deal with what he sees. Well, if I can see it from the road, I'm pretty sure he can. So, kind of. But I've been over there 20-something years, so this is nothing new. I just thought I'd come, get some attention. I have a new magistrate, so maybe something could be worked out where the homeowner who owns the property receives a letter, as well as the occupant at the house receives a letter, and some a little more meat into the ordinance. I mean, I guess all y'all live in nice subdivisions and nobody collects things or piles up their garbage, or I don't know if it's just mine, but it needs to really be addressed. And we get a new code guy and it goes by the wayside again, and then you get a new code guy and it goes by the wayside again. And that's been kind of the way it goes. I got 2 more things, I'll be done. I cannot believe that swimming pool is still closed. I cannot believe it has sat there for 3 or 4 years or COVID, and the kids aren't going to get to use it this summer. Again, all y'all must be rich enough you got a swimming pool in your yard. I don't know. But that's insane. And $6.1 million for a dog place? Jesus Christ.
Whoops.
What?
We don't permit any type of language like that in here, please.
Jesus?
No,
Amen, brother.
no swearing is allowed in the fiscal courtroom, please.
Jesus Christ, that's not
that's said in a disrespectful way, offensive to many people who would hear that. So please
that would be your opinion.
please don't do that. Well,
would be your
unfortunately, my
opinion.
opinion reigns here
Does it?
during this period.
Well, we never get along,
Okay.
so what else?
Sheriff, I'm going to ask you to take Miss Isaacs out if she doesn't stop.
Oh, I'm done.
Okay,
I'm
thank
done.
you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'm good.
I think I heard you say that you felt your subdivision was not being strictly enforced by our code officer. We'll look into that complaint. If that is the case, we're not able to just exert our opinion over what's a proper display of material around your house. If it's illegal, we'll have it moved. If it's just poor taste in the mind of one of the neighbors, there's not much we can do about that. But if it's an illegal situation, we can. So, all right, thank you.
Judge,
Yes, ma'am.
I could speak a little bit on
Okay.
it if you'd like.
Sure.
If you feel it's appropriate, or if not,
Yeah,
I
go
don't
ahead.
have to. Okay.
It's your district.
So I've asked Adam, the code enforcement officer, to take a look at Lakewood Valley and other areas in the district, and he's been out there diligently just enforcing the area. And a couple of the problems I know that Miss Isaac speaks of are, like she said, she can see from behind her house, but you can't necessarily see from the road. Some of the things he's working on are cars on blocks and just some bigger issues like that. But he's giving people time, and he's only really started hammering down in the last couple of weeks. And so I appreciate his efforts, and citations will start to go out. But he wanted to, he likes to listen to the stories and have compassion. And I think he's really good at his job, and he's got a lot to do. And so he's working Lakewood Valley very hard. And so
Okay.
I think he's
All
doing a
right.
good job.
We want everybody's neighborhood to be as clean and presentable as possible. And there are sometimes conflicts over what's acceptable
Judge.
and what's not, but our code enforcement officer is happy to look into them and follow the ordinances as established. Magistrate Likens.
Thank you, Judge. I think we established a policy of public speakers giving us their address, and in my 15 years of sitting up here, this is the first time that I've seen someone refuse to give their address. This is a right. It's a privilege to get up and speak as in our public comment section, and I would like to make a motion that Miss Isaac's presentation be stricken from our minutes, not recognized.
All right. Is there a second in that regard?
Guess we don't have a second.
Apparently not. We ask for an address, not just so that whoever is listening on the court and listening in our community can have make a better assessment of the remarks of the speaker based on where they live in our county. And so eventually she did say she lived in the Lakewood Valley subdivision, and I was unhappy about it. Initially tried to not say where it was, but that was part of her
Judge,
complaint.
we're giving them the privilege to speak. If they don't want to abide by our rules, then I think in the future we should not allow them to speak. You have a very kind heart, and we all know that. They're standing up here and the people that are out there in the audience, and I applaud you for trying to do that. But I think that there are rules we need to ask people to follow.
Right. Well, I agree. We'll try to enforce our rules in a kind and gentle way. We don't want to be hard on anybody, really. Well, let's go on to a happier subject here. And at the last meeting, the fiscal court passed a resolution dissolving the Oldham County Environmental District. The environmental district, which was one time I think might have been just referred, it was referred to commonly as a sewer district, began in the mid 1990s. And I don't want to recap the history because I might get something incorrect about it, but the initial thrust was to buy package treatment plants in our county that were operated by independent operators at various subdivisions. Those were aggregated, and the county paid to buy those. They were all, at the time, seemed to be passed and approved by the Division of Water in Frankfort, but after the county got them, then the Division of Water started finding problems with them, and difficulty ensued keeping the county in compliance with issues coming out from the Division of Water. In 2009, Horace Herod, who is here today, joined the Oldham County Environmental District. Did we call it Environmental District, or was it Sewer District then, Horace? I'm not sure what it was about there. But over the last 13 years, until last month when we dissolved the district, Horace Herod guided the environmental district through many difficult times, expanding the district, buying equipment, building a new sewage treatment plant over in the southwest part of the county, dealing with that's a somewhat hostile people at the Division of Water in Frankfort who put rules on us, and it required certain things to happen. And Horace led our group in an exemplary way that reached a higher standard in this county than is reached by most volunteers. We depend heavily on volunteers in Oldham County. I've got, I believe, 25 or 26 boards. I try to seek out people to serve on these boards and help guide our decision-making and progress as a county. But the environmental district has been there for a long time. And in 3 years ago this July, we merged with the Metropolitan Sewer District, MSD. Horace, we sort of thought that it might come to a conclusion at that point, but now it's 2 years later, or three, and we just now dissolved the district. Horace has sold property, took care of harmony of the lake and dam and everything else, and so I wanted to ask Horace to come back, and please come forward. There, you're sitting in your chair, but I'm going to come down in the front in just a second. And, I want to thank you for the service that you provided. There's rarely does someone give as much of their time as a volunteer as you have done. Maybe no one has reached the level you have. And so I thank you very much for doing a difficult job in the sort of not necessarily unpopular subject, but a lot of people don't want to know that much about sewer lines, pump stations, pipes, plants, sewage.
Until it quits working.
Pardon? And this wasn't your main job. You're a banker, and you came and did it. So,
Well, thank you very much. I would just say it was certainly a team effort. It wasn't just me. And we had an excellent board. Art Henson, Jim Griffin, guys like that were very much part of getting us through that process. And need to recognize Stan Clark too, because he was instrumental in helping us. We borrowed your credit rating to get cheaper money, and we were able to leverage that with the state and get some cheap money through the state as well, and so our borrowing costs were really pretty low. We had to rely on the fiscal court to approve a lot of rate increases over the years that, wasn't a popular thing for you guys to do either, but it was necessary to get us through what we had to do. And at the end of the day, I think the ratepayers, who I always considered my boss, came out as good as they could have come out with the sale of the assets to MSD, and I think they're being serviced very well now from what I hear. and I think their rate stabilization will be pretty good going forward. So.
Right. I think we had an excellent transition that you and Stan carried out with MSD. We started out, we lowered our rates for people. People forget, when you pay a bill, you always know when the bill goes up.
Right.
It's hard to recognize it when it goes down.
Right.
Ours went down, and they're staying down. Eventually, they'll equal out with Jefferson County, but it was a number of years before that was going to happen. So thank you very much. And now on, thanks. It's kind of a almost inadequate word for the amount of effort that you have made, but thank you. And now to recognize you, I'm going to hand you in a moment here our a special award. It's called the Spirit of Oldham County. It's an exact replica of Colonel William Oldham, who was here, not really here, to the southwest of here a long time ago. Colonel Oldham was actually the great-grandfather of Meriwether Lewis Clark, the person who started the Kentucky Derby. A few people don't know that, you know. So he didn't know it either because he was gone when that happened. But his good genes went forward. So we want to give you this and thank you, and I hope that when you have it in your home, you and your family will remember and think about the appreciation that we have for you and the service you provided and the great example you've put forward for every volunteer and public servant in this community. So
thank you very much.
I
appreciate that.
Now I'm going to come down and we're going to get a picture, and I'd like all the fiscal court members to come and stand behind us so we can all get in a picture here with Horace.
Taking the picture. Do you have somebody to take the picture?
Yes, Oldham.
Okay.
Get them.
You know that you're
And up here.
taking the.
I guess we'll.
Have everyone shift this way. So this podium won't be in the way.
Oh, I make you look. Okay. Kind of reflect. Should we move Chris's chair?
Everybody get.
You okay? Can you speak again? All right, everyone. Mr. Dye, just move over a little bit.
Mr. Dye, you're Mr. Longson. Why are you moving?
Clip there. There we go. One, two, is wave.
Is on
All right. Yes. One, two, three.
today. You got it.
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
From as for sure. Now you know it was a small.
Thank you.
Well, eventually, Brent Likens did wind up on that committee at the end there for closing the things out. So thank you, Brent, for your service there, too. And we appreciate everybody who gives their time and effort in our community. We're sort of the tip of the spear, if you will. People know who we are, and they may not know who a lot of these other board members are, but we do. And we couldn't make it without them, and we really do appreciate them very much. And all right, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda today, and that's a bid opening for salt here. We thinking about the winter, even though it's the spring, and we've got three bidders here. First one will be Cargill. And price per ton for 1,800 tons would be $109.32 per ton.
Cargill.
Delivered.
Pardon?
Delivered.
Yes. All these will be delivered. Correct, Ben? I think we take the salt over to Ben. Are we taking the salt to the second dome we have over in Goshen? I believe we are, but they're delivering at our dome at the road department. Right. The next one is Compass Minerals of America, Overland Park. Here this is for 1,000 tons at $108.20 a ton. And Morton Salt of Chicago, $97.46 for 1,500 tons.
Wasn't the bid for 2,200 tons?
Are we saying this is all each of these is willing to allocate us? Is that correct? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Judge, how many tons was the first one? We didn't hear how many tons the first one was.
1,500 Morton's.
Mm-hmm.
Compass was 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Cargill was 1,800.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We'll road department, the road committee will work on that. Now the sheriff is here with his activities report for the month of April. We welcome Sheriff Tim Wakefield.
Judge, may I ask one quick question?
Yes, sir.
Before he gets here, we were discussing here on these the tons of salt. There's three different amounts: 1,800, 1,000, 1,500 ton. Did we put that in the bid as to how much we were going to need?
2,200 was what was in the bid.
We put in 2,200, but that's all apparently they're willing to sell us.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Hold on, Tim.
Absolutely.
What they gave us is the obligated tonnage. So it's what we must take.
Okay.
Okay.
Is the amount, so Morton's give us the extra 700 tons we need at $9,700 a ton?
I would imagine that is what. Let me see if it's.
So we have to take a minimum tonnage of those numbers.
Yes, a minimum. Yes.
Okay.
Some of those minimums are based on the size of the equipment they're shipping it from the river up here. So it's just wherever they're coming from. Some truck can carry 20 tons, some 22.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Sheriff, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't have it printed out. I've been counting ballots. So if there's any questions, I submitted a report last week, or Kara did. Any questions about our activity report for April?
Looks good.
Okay. All right. Thank you all.
Thanks, Sheriff.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Safe Streets and Roads grant and match. Jim Silliman will discuss that.
Good afternoon. Jim Silliman, Oldham County Engineer, 100 West Jefferson Street. A little bit of the history on this. In June of last year, June of 2022, the federal government announced, and we heard about this through KIPTA, our local or regional planning agency, about the Safe Streets for All grant, which is intended to be a 5-year, $5 billion grant for road improvements and addressing and mitigating safety issues. The first cycle, which is this first year, was intended to be to include about $1 billion in funding. This was coincidentally about the same time that I was looking at embarking on a local road safety plan, an LRSP for the county, and coordinating with the UK technology transfer. So it made a lot of sense to instead work with KIPTA on this potential grant, the Safe Streets for All, through the federal money. So KIPTA planned or proposed that they put together a regional application for this grant to work on an action plan to put together basically what would be the same for the entire region, a local road safety plan, but again for the entire region, not just Oldham County. And then all the participants, the different jurisdictions within the KIPTA region would be participants. The amount that each would put towards the match for this grant is based on population. I think when we originally looked into this, we thought the grant might be, or our match might be 16,000. And the understanding that was that the counties or the cities that were involved in this would not pay unless the application was approved by the feds. It was approved. It was determined by our portion, or the population, that Oldham County's portion would be this amount that you have in your packets of $7,663.54. And this goes towards a federal grant of $600,000. The total match from the different jurisdictions is $150,000. Again, our portion is under $8,000. So we are now requesting approval of that grant that we would be participating in. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer any others.
Judge. All right, Magistrate Jeffries.
Yes, I just let the court know we heard this morning at our road committee meeting, and we moved to send this to fiscal court with a positive recommendation to approve.
All right, and I think we've got a motion in a second here. Magistrate Hounds.
Was the $16,000 in your budget for this year?
So budgeting, there was the planning and development budget includes some consultant services amounts, and that's what it would be coming from.
Okay.
There is adequate funds available. And just another piece of this, I'll say, puzzle is that, again, this is for what we're calling an action plan. It's a study to develop a plan to address safety hazards, again, throughout the region. The intent would be to stair-step off that for the future grants, either with this federal money or with other local grants, and utilize that data to apply for implementation grants to actually put measures in the field.
So this is a plan to create a plan to do the project?
Well, this is the plan.
Okay. And what's the time frame that we're looking at on this?
The completion date is scheduled for June of 2024 for this regional plan.
And do we have to commit assets to this? Your time or somebody else's time? Or
No, the KIPTA, the Regional Planning Agency, will be hiring a consultant to do all this work.
Okay. Thank you.
Measure Tice.
Let's go over this one more time. We give them $7,600 and some odd dollars.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and they're going to give us how much money?
The grant to the region, it's a total $750,000 project.
Okay.
$600,000 is the grant that's being received from the federal government
For this region.
For the region, right? Which is Bullitt, Oldham, Jefferson County, Clark and Floyd, Indiana.
Got it.
And the cities within that, Mount Washington.
Are we guaranteed to get any of that $600,000?
We will be included in the plan as part of the region. And they'll look at various aspects, speeds. They'll look at I think I've talked before about the systemic approach to road improvements, which is where we look at geometry and try and determine what geometric issues exist in the county or in the region. They'll look at hot spots of traffic accidents. And of course, we understand that there's going to be a lot more on, say, 71 or high-speed areas when we start looking at fatalities. But we're going to be included in all this data, and we can pick hours out of that if we need to.
I think to give a more specific answer to you, Measure Tice, we are not guaranteed to get anything from this. Conversely, if we do not participate, we are guaranteed to get nothing from it.
Mm-hmm.
Got that. But we're not out $7,600 either.
Well, right. Well, you got to put up a little something to try to get something. You know, nothing ventured, nothing gained there.
I think we will, just because I've seen data that the UK technology transfer holds for accident reports and other, again, the systemic geometry of the roadways, and they'll be able to mine some of this data for us that it saves me from having to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we're in the game versus in the bleachers. Magistrate Hawkins.
Jim, you said we pick out then what we want. Will that come in front of fiscal court for us to look at?
We can certainly provide the report as it's in development, or at least the final report when it's done. And then we'll be able to utilize it as we choose, or potentially through KIPTA, again, work on other grant opportunities.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, we have a motion from the second here moving forward with this grant application. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda has to do with our payables. Jim, would you come back up for a second? We're happy to have today one of our Oldham County graduates who is in the civil engineering program at UK. I'd like you to introduce him and let the court meet.
Accompanying me today, Will, you want to step forward, please, or stand up? Will Walker is a Oldham County High School graduate who's in the Oldham County High School band, actually with my son, which is exciting. He's a sophomore. He will be a sophomore next year at University of Kentucky studying civil engineering. So he's come to spend a day and experience what we do in the engineering department, see the planning development. He was at road committee earlier, and I think it's been a nice experience.
Great. Welcome, Will, and thank you for being here, and good luck with your career. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe some of you have seen piping along 146 in the Buckner area. The LG&E is working on moving a gas line from the south side to the north side of the road. And we've also had a request from LG&E for fiscal court to allow LG&E to have, I believe, 25 feet of easement basically in front of our detention center to move high-speed electricity lines in there. You know, down at Clayton and Lambert, they move the lines back. They're moving down the road. This has to do with the 146, 393 intersection improvement and expansion program. So we haven't responded yet to LG&E, but getting a letter that asks for an easement tells us that it's on their radar and that the project is moving forward in a way that was unexpected until we got that letter. So I think that's good news, and I don't see why we wouldn't allow them to do that, but we'll talk about it in the court. So, all right, now we have the payables, and we can pay the bills.
Judge, I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All right. Any discussion here? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, Melissa has some budget transfers to discuss, and go ahead with those.
I have two sets of budget transfers to propose to you today. The first one involves salary increases. These are both for offices that received more than the budgeted CPI, and also for the departments that receive step plans. And that total is $89,089.
Judge, this came before the Finance Committee, and it was passed through Finance Committee unanimously. I'd like to make the motion that we approve the first round of budget transfers, $89,089, please.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on it? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item.
The second set are line item transfers for non-salary lines where we have overspent the budget, so we transfer dollars from lines that are underspent. The total I'm asking for is $403,104.75.
Judge, this also came through the Finance Committee today and was passed unanimously. I'd like to make the motion for the budget transfers of $403,104.75.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on these transfers?
Just want to say the biggest line item there was $339,000 for voting machines.
Correct.
That we received a grant for the majority of that.
We have received reimbursement from the state, yes.
We're using them today.
Right. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, under community business here, we're going to have we allow public comment on two parts of our budget. That would be the county road aid, $685,825, and the mineral severance tax of $204,000. This is the hearing for the use of the mineral severance tax is required by KRS 42.455. And the hearing for the use of the road fund aid is required by another statute, KRS 174.100. In the past, we've chosen to use county road aid toward general repair and upkeep of county roads, basically paving and snow removal. We use the mineral severance tax toward the county's match of various transportation improvement projects, such as the bike and ped trail expansion, rail underpass, and Highway 329 realignment. So, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody here who would like to address any of those, either of those items?
Nobody has it.
Pardon?
Nobody has it in their packet. We haven't been able to review it over the weekend.
Nobody has it?
There was nothing in the packet.
Yeah, there was nothing in our packet.
It says no paperwork on, at least on mine.
Mine too.
Or says no document.
What's our pleasure here? Would we like to have a copy of this or something else?
It's in the budget. It's in the budget packet. The numbers are.
I read it as we have it here. I mean, these are we have use for this. What we allow, these funds are required to let the public comment if they think there might be something different to do than what we have planned to do.
Sure. And I support it. I just would like the document. I mean, you could send it to us. I mean, I don't have an issue with not supporting it. I'd just like to see the paperwork on it.
All right.
Yeah, I would too.
All right.
Kind of LGEA and CRA funds.
So, okay, do we have we don't have a motion on this, or do we have one?
Not yet.
Anyone want to go for? All right, we'll close the public hearing now. Does anyone want to go forward with this, or do you want to wait?
Is there just a public hearing, or is there a motion?
No, I think it's just a public hearing.
So then we don't have to do anything.
Not really. We just would take the public hearing into consideration. These county road aid funds we use to in our road program. Mineral severance tax we use. Pardon? As our match. Right. As a match for projects. So there really is nothing for the fiscal court to do here if there aren't any individuals suggesting that we do something different than we have done or what we have planned for the coming budget year.
Right.
We don't have to vote on anything.
No, and mineral severance tax is the only LGEA money we receive from the state. So that is why Judge is saying it's the mineral severance tax.
Okay.
Other counties get other
Some
economic
get coal,
assistance
we get
money.
we get basically rock money from Rogers.
Right.
Rock
Does the
work.
sand come through there too? Is that different? Nugent sand money?
No, Nugent Sand pays us
Okay.
for the ability to dredge the river.
Okay.
So there's really nothing to do here. We had the hearing, no one objected, so.
Yeah, it's a budget requirement. It's
let's
part of
move
the
on.
procedure.
We don't have to have any acceptance. Okay.
No action.
No action required here.
Okay.
All right, contract and resolutions, item D, Becky Zockline, waste tire grant application.
Good afternoon, members of the Fiscal Court. Becky Zockline, Oldham County Fiscal Court, 100 West Jefferson Street.
You're pulling our leg there a little bit, aren't you? Yeah.
Every year we apply for a $4,000 grant from the state to pay for the removal of waste tires that are brought to the recycling center or picked up along the side of the road. We do our level best to spend every nickel of that, but we usually don't. So some money is set back at the end of the year. But we're applying for the 23-24 fiscal year grant at this time, and I'm asking the fiscal court to give the judge permission to sign this grant application. There is no match.
We don't really know how much money we'll get from this, correct?
$4,000.
Is it 4,000? Okay, I didn't see it on there. All right,
I move we apply for the grant.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second, okay. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. The next item is a resolution to dissolve the Briar Hill taxing district. And I believe, Barry, aren't you on the Briar Hill taxing district? Would you like to tell us? Yeah, well, it's all right.
I'll move out from there. Come down front. Barry Baxter, I am a resident of the Briar Hill Road Taxing District. I can't tell you when the taxing district started. It was there when I moved in.
89.
Our road was taken care of for many years by the Briar Hill Road Taxing District. And we have a line item that shows up on everybody's property tax bill where we were getting money. We came to the fiscal court, I believe, in 2017 and asked that you all take over the maintenance of our road. After we made some slight improvements to it, the county graciously agreed to take over maintenance of the road. So we have not had to do that since 2017. We had a debt because we had made some improvements to the road. We had a bond. We paid that bond off. Last year, actually, when it came time to put a line item on everybody's tax bill, our tax rate was set at 0 because we had paid off our bond and we did not collect any money. We've got, I believe, about $92 sitting in the bank right now. The statute requires that we ask everybody in the neighborhood if they want to dissolve the taxing district. We presented to you actually more than enough to indicate that the residents are desirous of having that dissolved. It has to be 30%. I think we've got 35% of the folks signed off on it. I sent letters. A lot of people probably just threw that stuff in the garbage. But in any event, we are no longer maintaining the road in any way, and we would like to be out from the obligation to have to do anything relative to the taxing district. So there's a resolution that I prepared and I gave to Magistrate Dye, who is my magistrate, and asked him to review, and I believe he asked that this matter be docketed. So we would respectfully request that you adopt the resolution. I'm glad to answer any questions about it if you want me to.
Does anyone have a question? Magistrate Jeffries.
Just a quick question. The $92 that's left in the account.
County gets it.
I'm sorry.
The county gets it.
Oh, county gets it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have to write it. We have to write a check to the county. That's one of the requirements of the statute.
Okay. And so once this taxing district is resolved, then I mean the county's been has taken over the roads and,
Yes.
and maintained the roads, and that will continue.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
All right, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Is the 30% per HOA or per statute?
We don't have an HOA.
Okay.
So it is by statute. It is
Was
30% of the residents of the district, of the taxing district. So if there's any special taxing district, sewer district, whatever, that's a requirement under the statute.
Okay.
Judge,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
All right.
This did come through the road committee earlier today, and I think we did vote to send it on for a recommendation to approve the dissolution of the dissolution of the Briar Hill Road taxing district. Sorry.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
just-
let's see if there's a second first. Is there a second? on
Second.
that?
Do you want me to read the resolution number?
Yeah. Are you a second?
I can be a second, yeah.
Okay. You can go ahead and read the resolution and number.
All right, I'm seconding the motion to have the judge recognize this resolution 01-05-16-23, which is a resolution authorizing the dissolution of the Briar Hill Road Taxing District. Just to clarify one of the questions I heard a minute ago, the county did take over the repair and maintenance of this road in 2017. As Mr. Baxter pointed out, the residents at that time took a bond to pay for bringing the road up to the county standard. And when they did that, we took it over and they were left with the debt. The debt's been paid. They want out of the road bond business because they really have nothing. There's no money to take in. There's no reason to take money in because they don't have a road to take care of.
Correct.
So that's why we're wanting to dissolve this. So there you go.
All right. So, all right. Well, Magistrate Likens.
Judge, Mr. Baxter needs to give his address, please.
Oh, is that true?
This is not public comment, Magistrate.
Well, he's Briar Hill. Yeah. Okay. We've got a motion and a second to go ahead and dissolve the taxing district. I don't think we need to read the entire resolution. You made the points.
You want me to read it?
No. But we've got more than 30%, 31%.
We got all the elements are satisfied.
All right. Any further discussion here? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll ask Chief Smith to come forward and discuss. Is he here? Did he? Okay, there you are. Okay. You're behind someone. The flock camera contract.
Yeah, so do y'all know what a flock camera is?
Yep.
What it means? It is a automatic license plate reader. A lot of jurisdictions are installing these cameras. And what it does, the system connects to NCIC, which will give us automatic information on stolen cars, wanted cars, amber alerts, golden alerts, things like that. So as soon as the car will pass through one of these cameras, they take a picture of the license plate, they'll run it, and then if it is an NCIC hit or other wanted hit, they notify the local police, so we'll know they're in our jurisdiction. What we're asking for are 4 cameras, and we intend to install them on 42 coming into the county, 22, 146, and the exit at I-71 and 14 exit. Because our experience is that's mainly where people come into this county when they come out here to steal.
The camera's only going to be one way, one direction?
Yeah, we looked at both ways, but, they're going to pick up stolen cars. They're going to pick up wanted cars. It's been in our experience that when someone comes from Louisville, usually Louisville, they'll come out with a stolen car and steal one while they're out here. Now, the one that they stole while they're here wouldn't be in a computer quick enough for us to identify leaving the county. So we want to know when they're coming out here, and that's kind of what we're looking for. I know there are some other smaller cities in the county that have already got these flock cameras. They all interconnect. If one passes through a camera that's already installed, we will know about that. So our point is, we just want to make sure we know they are coming out here and they're here. Because once we know where they came in, then we can pretty well, move our units that way to hopefully catch them. And in our experience, when we do find them out here, most all of them will flee to the interstate at 14. Most either 17, 18, or 14, that's where we usually flee. So we just think, it's better for us right now to see who's coming out here. Contract's $24,000. It's for a 2-year contract. We believe we have enough money in our budget right now to cover that, so we wouldn't be asking for any more money.
So we paying for it half 1 year and half the next year, or all the?
It's $24,000 up front. We're paying for all 2 years at one time. Now there will be some additional cost, but I think we agreed the county would assume those by putting up the post ourselves, and that way we wouldn't pay for an installation of the post that the camera would actually go on, nor would we pay for permitting for that.
I'm excited about this prospect because I'm equally disappointed when I hear that we've been hit again by people who are checking door handles, checking windows, checking things. We need to get out in front of this, and this device that we believe is going to help us learn who's in the county that shouldn't be, or it may have a malevolent idea in mind. It's not a perfect system, but Louisville's gone heavily into this, St. Matthews, a lot of other suburban areas, and really it's not a bad idea to let the bad guys know you got it.
That's true.
Because
that's true.
we want you to stay out of our county. We had that incident at Park Lake a couple of months ago where, they got in there and they got away. We did not have enough people on duty that night to be able to corner them and apprehend them. And if we'd have had some knowledge that they were in there because they arrived in a stolen car or a plate that was identified as a problem individual's plate, our people could have been waiting at the entrance to that subdivision and stopped them. There's most subdivisions only have a couple of ways in and out, some less than a couple, and you get a chokehold on these people. We need to do it. So I think this is a good investment.
Judge, we're putting them in my subdivision, the one beside it. There's one just next to us has it. Norton Commons has 32 cameras covering each one of their entrances, both in and out. One thing the chief didn't say, and I'm sure you just didn't think about it, these cameras are not speed cameras.
Right.
They're not traffic cameras. They're not taking pictures of your license plate to send you a bill from a local authority saying, "Hey, you run that stop sign." That's not what this is for. It's looking for vehicles of interest.
Right.
Vehicles of interest only. So,
Measure Jeffries.
Just a question, Chief. There's other communities in Oldham County now that have some of these cameras.
Yep.
I think Major Dye just pointed out maybe a couple places, but do you know how many locations are utilizing these cameras in Oldham County at this point?
No, I know. I think River Bluff is looking at them. I would hope the Hillcrest and Paramount would look at them because they're one way in, one way out. Mostly they only have two exits. That'd be easy to know if they went back in there. But not everybody's got them yet. What we're hoping for is to have some success with them, and then maybe convince other people to do this. And they all interconnect. Once you have the system up, it interconnects.
That was my next question. Is all those cameras that are in other subdivisions, if something pops up, you all have access to that data and others.
Right.
Okay.
See, in an ideal world, we would know they came into the county, what street they came in, and then if some of the subdivisions at least had them at their entry points going into subdivisions, we would know what subdivision they went into. But
One other
costly,
question:
so.
I assume they work in dark. I mean,
Yes.
they've infrared or whatever that they or do they have a light on them besides infrared or?
No, it's infrared.
Infrared. Okay.
Yeah.
the pictures, you can't believe how good the graphics are. I mean, you can almost tell if they've got a mustache or not. I mean, that's how good they are. I mean, these pictures are phenomenal.
It'll tell you the make, the color, the model of the car. You'll be able to tell from all that from the car.
Okay.
And like I say, in our experience, most times people are coming out here in stolen cars. And then with the unlocked cars, it's like a smorgasbord. As a matter of fact, they hit us last night.
Okay, no.
Magistrate Woosley, I think, has his hand up.
I have read into this. I'm going to support this today. I know Mount Washington has used these with great success. We're putting them in 4 spots that have been predetermined, but are you thinking that maybe we could move those to other locations if we need to? And I'm thinking like 524, where several years ago we had a large amount of break-ins down there. It's very similar, one way in, one way out, just on the loop. So something like this, you'd be able to know who's coming in and out. So are they going to stay at these 4 locations, or are you thinking maybe we'd move them someday or add additional cameras?
My understanding of this is that they would stay at that location. Okay. Because when we decide where we're going to put the camera, the physical location camera, it depends on the distance from the roadway, what type of camera they have to use, and what type of, lens setting and all that they have to use. So probably when they get that set up, we'd have to take it down, move it someplace else.
Okay, and I saw that
our hope is to convince other people to invest in this. Quite frankly, that's our hope. Once they see there's a benefit to it.
The location on 22, where was that at?
Well, we haven't decided quite yet.
Okay.
We've got several locations, but we're working with Jim Silliman to make sure that we don't need permitting.
Sure.
It's not an easement or something. I think there's some people that are willing to put on their private property.
I think it's going to be a big help, and it'll definitely be a deterrent for crime out here.
Yeah, I think so too. I think starting with 4 is probably a good test. And like I said, it's a 2-year contract, so we'll know if it's going to work or not.
Magistrate Tice.
As I was listening to this, I was thinking about my subdivision, which is a one-way in and one-way out. Other than if we would put the money up as an association and bought the camera, then would our county or the police department mount it? And then you'd have access to our subdivision, and then that would be, or there's a yearly fee to it, I assume,
there is.
for the first 2 years. But that could be good for a subdivision.
Yeah.
Am I seeing it wrong, or is
No, I know you're seeing it absolutely right. It would be good for subdivision, especially those that have limited access in and out.
And that's where we
River
are.
Bluff's got 2. They got one, 1694, and also got one on 42. So you'd have to have multiple cameras there. But for a one-way in and one-way out, it'd be great, because we would know they're in there. We could block the entrance and just start searching.
Yeah.
And I honestly imagine, Tice, that's kind of what we hope would happen with this, that more subdivisions, HOAs will get interested in it and put some up.
Yeah, we have an HOA meeting usually in July, but that would be something to for sure talk about at that annual meeting, or bring it up to the board committee before then. Yeah, thank you.
Magistrate Likens.
Yes, Judge, I was hoping maybe you could put something like this in the what's happening, your next issue of that, and just maybe tell people, get the word out. I think it's a great idea.
Right.
Just to kind of give you an idea of what we look at, through yesterday, we've had 24 cars stolen. The value of those cars is almost $300,000, about $380,000, so we're having a considerable amount of loss. The year before that, we had 45 cars stolen, and the year before that, we had 48 cars stolen. So, I mean, it's coming out here, and it's peaking, quite frankly. And the thefts from cars, the total thefts altogether, we've had 103. About 60% of those thefts are out of cars. And then of that 60%, I'd say all but a couple of them are unlocked. So they're out here. And the year before that, on the thefts, we had 275, and the year before that, 319. So it's, our issues are peaking. So, I mean, I think these cameras will be good for us. One of the sad part is, in the last 3 years, we've had almost 90 guns stolen out of these cars. It's a lot. That's a lot. We've had 50, 27, and 12 in the last 3 years, 12 so far this year.
Judge, I have one more question. Does that notification go to dispatch from Flock?
Yeah, it's cellular. It'll send a text message. It should go to dispatch.
Okay.
Good.
And then they'll put it out over the radio.
Commissioner Dye.
Just want to clear, I've been working with the Flocks people for about a year now before we pulled the trigger, so to speak. These cameras are the property of Flocks. You're only renting them. Okay. And the county gets a different bit of a deal because they don't have to pay sales tax.
Right.
And you can't, like in our case, in my subdivision, the one next to us, we went together and split the cost against the number of homes. And of course, then you have to pay it part this year, part next year, because they don't want to accept all the sales tax in the first check. You're going to say, well, you might change your sales tax. And they were shorted. I said, okay, all right. But the way that I sold it to my people in my subdivision, so I'm the HOA president, was said, you can have every police car in the world in your subdivision, and he could be driving right past a car full of people in a stolen car getting ready to go shake doorknobs.
That's true.
This way, you got somebody checking, the gatekeeper is checking you coming in. So, you've got basically police officers at the entrance of your subdivision checking the cars that are of suspect or could be suspect cars, and it's for the money. I think it worked out in my subdivision. I live in a large subdivision. It worked out per house about $26 a year. So it's when you start to if you live in a small subdivision, it gets expensive. So, but
Okay.
you have to decide how you want to spend your money.
Well, I think we have a motion, and we had a motion on this yet?
I don't think so.
I'll make a motion.
Kevin Jeffries is a second.
I'll second it.
Bob Dye. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda has to do with personnel actions. We have two people to hire at the parks.
You pay more than that. Coffee every day.
Good afternoon. We have two park seasonal employees for maintenance of the parks. One is Kyle Myers and then there's William Moore. Both are laborers at $15 an hour, and that'll start on the 18th of this month.
All right, is there a motion we hire Kyle Myers and William Moore?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
All right. And the second item is for the chief's contract. It is being renewed effective June 1st, and I believe you all had a copy of that as well.
Judge, I'll make the motion that we renew Chief Greg Smith's contract.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, in the month of May here is when we appoint the reapportionment committee or commission. The reapportionment commission will be charged with taking our 8 magisterial districts and attempting to balance them as close as possible, but with no more. There's a statutory maximum deviation. I think it's 7%, but I'm not absolutely certain on that. But I would like to appoint these 3 people to work with our county clerk, Amy Elvey. The reapportionment committee will have, once it gets going, they have 60 days here to complete its job. And I'd like to appoint Blaine Anderson, who's here with us today. Blaine, thank you for coming. I think most everybody here knows Blaine. Second person would be, of course, Blaine is chairman of the Republican Party in the county and a successful businessman in the hotel industry and has been here quite a long while. I don't know exactly how long, but it's been quite a while. Jane Cobble, a Royer, is a real estate agent in the county. She's very familiar with Oldham County, and she's been here 13 years. Okay, Blaine has been here 17 years. It says right in front of me, and I missed it. Okay, thank you. Jane's been here 13 years, and there's her bio. And also Adam Forseth. Adam has been here 27 years. worked at KIPTA for 27 years, been a county resident for 17. Adam was in the GIS at KIPTA, and I think a number of you know Adam, and he retired after a long time, GIS manager there. So I believe these three individuals do an excellent job as commissioners. My recommendation is that they be paid $50 an hour for their time. We expect each one to, earn somewhere between $500 and $1,000 to get this job finished. So, is there a motion that we accept these people?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion on this?
Judge, what does that commission look like? You mentioned that he was the GOP president. Does there have to be a Democrat president on or Democrat?
No, it's not. There's not a requirement for political.
And is there a member of fiscal court also on the commission?
No. What will happen is after the reapportionment committee does its work, it will present to fiscal court the boundaries for the 8 legislative or magisterial districts. Then the court will have 60 days to approve this or make suggestions for change.
Okay.
It's not a one and done situation. Everybody here will have an opportunity to look at the lines that have been suggested and make suggestions to the commission, or we could force the issue if we had But the idea is to take 3 educated, well-meaning, knowledgeable individuals to try to balance these magisterial districts out so that we have as close as possible an equal number of people in each district. Magistrate Jeffries.
Just a quick question on that. You say magisterial districts, but does this not affect the state and Senate, House and Senate seats also? Is that part of this process, or?
No. It's strictly fiscal court.
Okay. Gotcha.
Judge, I think the House and Senate they drew their district lines, I think, last year.
Right. We would normally have done this last year, but because of COVID, the legislature delayed this process for a year.
Judge, there's 4 magistrates on the court now that have done this back in 11. Myself, Tice, what's that gal name's name? Brent and Michael. But we've already done it once. So,
they don't go into effect until 4 years from now. Right? The next term?
I can't say when this exactly goes into effect. Barry, would you know?
It will be at the next election.
At the next election.
I mean, it's designed. The process is designed. Essentially, you want everybody in the county, their vote to mean the same. So the idea is to try to make the population of each of the districts as close as possible. I think there's a case that addresses what a reasonable deviation is, or at least there's a case that says what an unreasonable deviation is. So that's where judge is giving you a percentage. I think that's within the range. And my understanding is that I am obligated to advise that committee as well. So.
Good.
All right, so we'll have some work done. It'll come back to the court. The court will have a chance to look at it and make suggest modifications or changes. And we did do that at the last 10 years ago. Circumstance was put forward that did not was not acceptable, and there were changes made. Okay, so it's not. All right, so we've got a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we're back to our last public comment in the meeting. Is there anybody here who would like to address the fiscal court? Able to do so? Ask you to state your name and address.
Jim Allen, 1416 Oldham View Drive. I'm president of Crystal Lake. Regarding the flock discussion, that was very interesting. The chief talked to me about it before, but it was beyond our financial abilities if the subdivisions start to do something where we can support that process and maybe do some cost sharing, we'd be very interested in that. We had a car stolen just last month, and you wouldn't think that in our little subdivision, but it's a real problem. So please let us know if there's a way we can.
Okay. Well, these are ideas that we're going to try this out. It's been very, enthusiastically received in some of our subdivisions in the county. We're getting into it. We want to do it. It's not to say that we couldn't come up with, if we have a lot of success with this, try to encourage others and perhaps do some cost sharing. I don't know. I think someone asked if we would put in a pole or something. Maybe the road department can. They have to be mounted, and they have to go in the places that Flock agrees as well. So.
Oh, really? Well, if they come up with these little tiny road signs that they like ADT signs they put in the yards, maybe a couple of cheap signs would help as well.
Right. Yeah. Right. So
neighborhood patrolled by Flock.
Okay. Anyone else would like to address the fiscal court? All right. I think we've arrived at just about the end of today's meeting. We'll see if anybody has any final thoughts. Magistrate Logston. Okay, Magistrate Dye.
If you haven't voted, get out and vote.
Magistrate Hawkins.
I wanted to once again mention, like I did 2 weeks ago in fiscal court, that to encourage anybody who would like to wear gray in May as a recognition of, good job.
I paid attention.
As a Brain Cancer Awareness Month, to show support to those who have been affected by that. And Judge, you may mention we recently lost a constituent in the county to that disease. Were you going to mention, or would you like me to do that at this time? Okay, so we recently lost a former magistrate in the county whose name was Rick Rash, and he succumbed to this illness. And I had another constituent in February who was succumbed to this illness as well. So if you feel led to do that, wear gray in May for Brain Cancer Awareness Month. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Magistrate Hawkins.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Magistrate Hawkins, I paid attention. I even made a note to wear my gray suit this
Thank
time.
you. Appreciate that.
Judge, we got an email about the senior seminar that's sponsored by the Oldham County Fiscal Court, and I've gotten a couple of questions about it, but I don't know anything about it other than what's in the flyer.
Okay.
So if you could maybe expound on that when it's your time to give us your update. And then this is also National Police Week. Respect, honor, and remember police officers and law enforcement in the country. And we're very fortunate to have a great group of law enforcement officers in Oldham County, and I appreciate all their efforts. Thank you.
Okay. Magistrate Jeffries.
Yes, just a couple things. Just to follow up with Magistrate Hounds, I did attend the police memorial service last night at LaGrange Baptist Church. It was Monday evening. It was a beautiful service. They honored 136 officers that gave the ultimate sacrifice this past year. So it was a very well-attended service and nicely done. So just wanted to pass that on. And also attended the North Oldham Library groundbreaking on April 28th. And once that is completed, they're making a lot of progress over there on the groundwork and getting the detention basins installed and things like that. So once that's completed, I think that's going to be a real asset for the north side of Oldham County.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
Judge, I just also want to mention the National Police Week. When the chief was up here earlier, he had a black band across his badge. That is to honor and recognize those killed in the line of duty. So just wanted to recognize that, and also mention that this weekend is the Down and Dirty Mud Run at the Windermore Park.
All right. Thank you, Magistrate Woolsey. Didn't mean to not call on
Judge.
you. I just. All right, Magistrate Type.
Nothing.
All right. Magistrate Likens.
Thank you, Judge. Three things. We're having a building and maintenance committee meeting Thursday at 1 o'clock. This will be to discuss the animal control building, fine-tuning the equipment we need in it, and a lot of the contracts. The other members obviously will be there, but anyone who wants to come and offer any input is open to the public. Second thing is that Creasy Mahan is having their butterfly ball this Friday. Very nice event. It's a fundraising event, very near and dear to my heart. It's usually pretty near to my wallet, too. Number 3 is I was hoping the judge would say a few words about Rick Rash, who was a 1970 graduate of Oldham County High School with myself, and was magistrate for, I think, 16 years and county court clerk for 5 years or something like that. But like the judge to remember him. He's a good guy.
Right, and that is was something that I overlooked, and I apologize at the beginning of the meeting. Should have had a moment of silence for Rick Rash. I'd like to, Rick Rash, former Oldham County Magistrate. I'd like to take a moment of silence now for Rick. Thank you. Rick, not everybody in the room perhaps knows Rick Rash was a magistrate for, I believe, 16 years, wasn't it? And then he went on and was county clerk of court for most of a term, and I think he left because of health or something there and retired. But Rick passed away here about a week or so ago. He was a good guy. He was Rick Rash, and he had a personality that was distinct, and everybody knew him. And sometimes, a slap on the back from Rick Rash was what you needed to pick you up that day. He had a big smile on his face, and had a lot of ideas, and gave a lot as far as Republican politics. He was a rock-ribbed Republican that, from the day he was born, I guess, and everybody who was running for office around here has had Rick put up a sign or take down a sign for him, and he was always more than willing to help. Rick sat in the seat that Bob Dye is sitting in, and when I came on the court in 2007, I sat in where Mike Logston is sitting. And the very first thing Rick Rash said to me, I remember, on first meeting in January, he said, "You're brand new here," and he said, if I were you, I'd keep my mouth shut. Yeah. So I took his advice all of January, and
he was behind the
good guy. He had a lot to do. He got Lock Lane going. He helped very much with the sewer district. He was into the Peggy Baker Park. Was a big project of his. He got a big park and rec study passed right away. And Rick was a hard worker. Always met well and did well. So we certainly miss Rick Rash. Magistrate Hounds mentioned the senior event that we're going to have. We just came up when I was down in Florida. I ran across the Florida Attorney General was having an event for seniors, and it had to do with just different things that seniors fall into. The word scam can mean, just different traps on the telephone. Sometimes they get mail. Sometimes they don't know something about Medicare or Medicaid. Just a variety of different things and so I thought, well, this would be nice to have some kind of event in our county that would help people with learning what to do, older people. It might be a misstep that they could make. And so I asked Tara to work on that, and we have people from the Sheriff's Department. We have people from the Kentucky Attorney General's office, I think the Better Business Bureau. Senior Medicare Patrol. We've got an attorney coming that deals with the elder care issues. Just some things we thought we could talk about with the people who we're not selling anything. We're just making information available as to people who might like to learn something about that. So it's kind of fun to put something on in our community center. And what else do we have? Have I missed anything? Well, we're going to try to put on a light lunch at the end, box lunch or something for participants. So we're asking people to register just so that we have some idea of how many people might come. So And we don't know. Maybe no one will show up, but we're promoting it. And if it's a benefit to people, we certainly invite them to come. And be on June 8th.
Well, you have half the court could go to that because they're certainly seniors.
Yeah, right. They're seniors, and we're all subject to getting. I get something every day. It tells me that there's some package that they attempted to deliver to my house didn't have something wrong. Somebody tries to hit me every day, and with something that is fraudulent. And I'm aware of it, but I think there are people who are just not aware of tricks that other people are working full time to try to play on them for some reason. So I'd also like to thank the Rogers Group. They put on last week a skeet shooting event that was a fundraiser for our Oldham County law enforcement group to help get some additional bulletproof vest materials. And they also, as part of the funds from the Rogers Group skeet shooting event, will go to help Officer Nick Wilt. I'm really proud of our community. A lot of people have jumped in one way or another and tried to do a fundraiser, do something to help Nick Wilt. He worked for us for several years in the dispatch. He also worked in EMS. He wanted to be and he and his brother went to the police academy in Louisville, and of course, things turned sour for him pretty quick. But I'm under the impression that he is making progress, and he has gone into a rehabilitation. I don't really know the details, but we're all praying for Nick Wilt. We're praying for all of our law enforcement people who put their lives and families on the line every time they leave the house. So keep Nick Wilt in your prayers, and we'll continue to support whatever we can to help in his recovery effort. With that, I believe I'm just about finished. Does anybody else have anything I'd like to add? So, motion to adjourn. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.